Hi everybody. Today we're going to be talking about decimals, and our learning goal today, if you take a look here, we have actually three things listed. Um, by the end of the lesson, you should be able to say that you can state the place value for decimals all the way through the millionths place. Usually we won't go that far though, thousandths, 10,000ths. If we can go about that far, we're pretty good. But through the millionths place, I can express decimal amounts using words, and I can write decimal amounts using what's called expanded form. You may have never heard of that before, expanded form, but we'll talk about that today as well. All right. So first of all, decimals. When you're looking at a number, um, we all know what whole numbers are and how whole numbers work. Whole numbers are everything that you see to the left of the decimal point, but then you see a decimal point right here. And everything to the right of that represents part of a whole. And so if you have something that's more than 0 but less than 1, that's why we use decimals. Sometimes we use fractions to show a part of a whole. Other times we use decimals to show a part of a whole. And today we're talking about decimals. So we talked when we talked about whole numbers, we talked about the ones place, the tens place, hundreds, and then we went thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, and so on. In the decimals, though, you'll see the THS ending on everything. That's very important. In the decimals, we always have THS at the end. So we have the tenths place, the hundredths place, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, millionths, and we could keep going after that as well, but see that THS ending on each of them. Now, one thing I want to point out to you, if you look at the 4 right here, it is in the tenths place. And you might be wondering, well, why isn't there a oneths place? We have a ones place over here. Well, we don't have a oneths place because you can't have 4 in this case out of 1, but you can have 4 out of 10 as being that part of the whole that you're talking about. Okay? So if I ask you, what place is the 5 in? The 5, you can see right here, is in the hundredths place. And again, see that THS ending there. All right? Now, if you wanted to read this number, here's how you read this number. You say 2 and 459 thousandths. So the only time I say the word and is when I'm at a decimal point. So I have 2 over here in the whole, and for the decimal point. Now I read this as 459, and then I give the place that the last digit is occupying, and the 9 is in the thousandths place. So 2 and 459 thousandths. A lot of times when we're just talking decimals, we'll say 2.459, and that's a nice way to say it too, but technically it's 2 and 459 thousandths. All right, what place is the 9 in? Well, we can see the 9 is in the thousandths place here. Okay? And it's actually 9 out of 1,000. That's a pretty small part of the whole when you think about 9 out of 1,000 of something. Hey, I have $1,000. I'll give you part of it. I'm going to give you $9. Well, that doesn't seem like a very big part out of 1,000. All right. So anyway, look at this sign here. This is a sign at a gas station. The price of a gallon of regular gasoline is 3.989. And you can see that right here. That's how they show prices at a gas station. They show, like, you think it says $3.98, but then they have this extra 9/10 at the end. So we have 3.989, but that's not how we typically show money amounts. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but how do I write this price in words? Well, I'm going to write it the same way I would say it. So I have 3 and, having troubles writing here, 900 89 And now what place is the last digit in? Well, we have the tenths place, the hundredths place, the thousandths place. So my last word here would be thousandths. And there, I just wrote it using words. Aren't you glad gas prices are lower than this now? They were this high a couple years ago, but thankfully they've come down. All right, here it says, write each decimal in words. All right, so this first one, if I were reading this number, I would say 67 and 3/10. So I'm going to write that. 67, I apologize, it's so messy, and 3/10. All right, I think I'll skip this next one because we need to move along for time's sake. Okay? All right, write each decimal in expanded form. Now, expanded form, that's where we basically are writing an addition problem, listing the value of each digit. So I'm going to read these from left to right. And the first digit I see here is this 6, but it doesn't have a value of 6. Notice it's in the tens place. This 6 right here has a value of 60. All right. Now the next digit is the 7. It's in the ones place. Its value actually is 7 here. So I have 60 plus 7. I think you would all agree that 60 plus 7 does equal 67. Plus, and now I have a 3 over here, but its value isn't 3. Its value is 3/10. So I'm going to just write 0.3 here. Oh boy. And this is written in expanded form. 60 plus 7 plus 3/10 is the expanded form of 67.3. The only reason we write these in expanded form is so that we understand the value of each digit, because the digits don't just have 6, 7, and 3 for their values. It's really 60 or 6/10, 7 or 7/1, and then 3/10. And we're adding them together to get the value of that entire number. Let's try another one here. I have 6.734. or 6 and 734 thousandths if I were to read it correctly. So I'm going to write 6 because that first digit is in the ones place. It has a value of 6. Plus 7/10, so I'll write 0.7, that's 7/10. Plus, the next digit is 3, and it's in the hundredths place. So I'm going to write 0.03, that's plus 3/100. Plus, and then the 4 is in the thousandths place. So I'll write 0.004 because the 4 here is the tenths, hundredths, thousandths place. And this is written using expanded form correctly. Okay, so that's expanded form. Next thing we need to discuss is standard form. Standard form is the way you normally see a number written. Okay, so here I have some numbers written using words. Here I have 3/10. So what I need to do is put a 3 in the tenths place. And remember, the tenths place is the first place to the right of the decimal point. So I have my decimal point and I put a 3 over here. Okay, and that's a good answer. Now, we don't have any whole values here, but I'm still going to show a 0 out in front of the decimal point. So I'm not just going to write 0.3, I'm going to write 0.3, and that says 3/10. Next one, I have 5/100. Now the hundredths place is the second place to the right of the decimal point. We have the tenths and then the hundredths place. So here's my decimal point. I put a 0 in the tenths place. The 5 goes in the hundredths place. And this is how I write 5/100. Again, I don't have any whole values, so I'll put a 0 in front of the decimal point, and that says 5/100. Now think about what 5 out of 100 looks like. Is that a lot? If you threw up 100 free throw attempts and you only made 5 of them, would that be any good? That wouldn't be very good. So 5 hundredths is a small amount. I have a couple more example here. 65 10,000ths. You know, sometimes the easiest way to write these is by writing the first part, 65, and then just figure out how many places to the right of the decimal point would be the 10,000ths place. We have the tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. That's 4 places to the right of the decimal point. So I'm going to put 2 zeros in front of this, and then my decimal point, because now the last digit, the 5, is 4 spaces to the right of the decimal point. That's 65, and the last digit is in the 10,000ths place. Again, I'll put a 0 out in front here. And if I want 7 millionths, here's my decimal point. I'll put a 0 in the tenths, in the hundredths, in the thousandths, in the 10,000ths, and in the 100,000ths place. And the next place is the millionths place. That's where I'll put my 7. And I'll put a 0 out here in front for the whole. There we have 7 millionths. Okay? All right, one more question here. The winning car in a race won by 15 thousandths of a second. Write this number in standard form. Well, here's my decimal point. I know I'm dealing with the decimal because of the THS ending here. Tenths place, hundredths place, thousandths place. The thousandths place is 3 spaces into the decimals. So I want to write the number 15, which is only a 2-digit number. So I'll put a 0 here in the tenths place, and then 15 goes here. And now is my last digit in the thousandths place? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. It is. And I'll put a 0 in front of that. 0.015. Now, since it's 15 thousandths of a second, I can put that label of a second here also. Make it all official. All right, so that's it for today's lesson. You can go ahead and work on the assignment. And I hope you have a lovely day.